Hey, hey, it's Sarah. I'm so excited to have my friend Andrea on. I'm continuing the series that I did, which was healthy interviews basically with different types of practitioners. I've already, in case you've missed the first two, I'll tell you what those were. That was iridology, so she looked at your eyes and could tell you a lot of really interesting health information based on your eyes. And then last week's was a chiropractor and nutritionist, so that was a great conversation too. And here she is, so let's get her on here. Wait, are you coming? Oh, yay! I was like, what did I do? Did I mess it up? How are you?
Good, how are you? I was trying to
Good.
better lighting, but oh well.
I know. I was having a hard time too. I like had this open, but then I like is it dimpled? I don't know. But yay, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, I'll just do a really quick intro for myself in case your people are hopping on. Hey, I'm Sarah. I let's see. I went to school to be a pharmacist, but I left pharmacy earlier this year. I'm into healthy living. I'm a breastfeeding advocate, but not a counselor. And then I'm into healthier products and healthier food and stuff like that. So I did this series that I'm interviewing a couple people about health benefits of certain things. So I want to have you on to talk about, you know, breastfeeding and is it really best, like my title says. So can you give a little intro about who you are?
Yeah, I'm Andrea and I'm a mom of two here in central New York with Sarah. And I used to be a teacher, but when I had my babies, I didn't go back to work. And so I started with La Leche League, which is like a breastfeeding like peer group, and they're all over the country. So it's kind of where I found support with breastfeeding when I first had my daughter. And then I decided I was going to do training to be a lactation counselor. So I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm almost certified. And yeah, I have 1 year, or he's almost two, I guess, two,
Oh, yeah.
2-year-old and a 5.5-year-old.
Wow.
So that's,
Well, yeah, that's awesome. And we know each other in real life, which sometimes people wonder too, when I do these, because sometimes I don't know the people I bring on in real life, but me and Andrea do know each other. We meet up for so it's super fun. But I had myself, one of the reasons I, became kind of just a breastfeeding, someone wanting to support other women just unofficially with breastfeeding is because I had a difficult time. I thought it was just going to be so, I don't know the word, I don't know, not natural. Yeah, it's natural, but just you would know what to do. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? And I didn't really, and I did not find it easy. And I had problems. We probably won't get into that many details about this specific topic, but both of mine had a lip tie and tongue tie that was causing me issues, but no one really told me about it. It was a whole thing. But through support and education, similar to La Leche League, and going to meetings and stuff like that, I ended up nursing both of them until they were 3 and wanted to stop. So I
Yeah.
feel like there's so much, yes, it's supposed to be like natural, but there's so much that's difficult about it with so many people. And that's why I love, the resources you have. And I'm sure we'll talk about that at the end. But can you just talk about, for anyone who might think that maybe, well, okay, I won't phrase it like that. I'll just say, what are the benefits of breastfeeding for the baby? Can you tell us about the health benefits or all the benefits?
Yeah. So, um, it's a loaded question, but,
Sorry.
really, it's like, I don't know, like different people, like a popular researcher has come out with like some stuff that's like, oh, it's not that much better than formula, like it's no big deal. I mean, you can find some solid info in like research studies on like, it lowers the respiratory infections in the first couple of years for kiddos, or it stomach bugs and stuff. But then people are like, well, big deal, like whatever. What I think is like not really able to be studied and like probably is of huge impact is like the immune protective factors it has. When your baby is born, the junctions in their gut are not closed, so different particles and stuff can get through. And what colostrum, which is the first milk that you have when you first have your baby, it kind of like coats the intestines and allows for the gut to be sealed off. And then breast milk has all these immune properties in it and bacteria that are good. Like oligosaccharides actually feed your good bacteria. That's why they're starting to like put that in formula. Um, no research on if that's like a good thing to have, because it's not, it's not human milk oligosaccharides, but that's another topic. But that stuff like feeds your gut in order to build your immune system.
Wow.
So I just think it's like it's more important than I think a lot of people realize. And it's hard to talk about the benefits because, people feel bad if they couldn't. So my, mission is kind of just to educate on how it is really beneficial and then help moms like become prepared, because like you said, it's not something that comes easily to everyone, even though it should, because it's like something, we've been doing since the beginning of time. It doesn't, because of our current, social and cultural and everything, you know, the situation. So that's kind of my goal. Another benefit that's kind of like new, I've been talking about this on my account too lately, is like the way that breastfeeding shapes your face and jaw. And it's not like, with either of these things, as far as like your immune system and your jaw and your face development, it's not like breastfeeding, everything's going to be perfect all the time. It's just one facet.
Mm-hmm.
But so the way that your baby sucks on a breast allows the jaw and the face to be developed properly so that they can breathe properly. Okay. So I had shared a video of my daughter. She breastfed. That's why I said it's not like a catch-all. She breastfed, but she sucked her thumb too. And you can see like her jaw is, narrow. And there's all this, I'm following all these accounts and I can share them too, like in the comments after this, but like all these accounts that talk about how it's really important to have like an open palate, an open airway, um, in order for your child to breathe and sleep properly. So I think that's also a new area of like benefits that we're not even like, no one's even touched that or even like talked about that yet because it's so new.
Yeah.
And then like, and then as far as like immune, it's like, what are the consequences of like an entire generation being artificially fed? We don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe we do. Like, I don't know if you think about all the chronic disease, this like our generation has, or like the autoimmune. And I'm not saying like breastfeeding is going to be like preventing all of that, but when you have your baby, their immune system is being developed by the bacteria that's in your milk when they have no immune system when they're born, essentially. I just think it's important. So I like to educate in a way that like doesn't, shame people, even though some people can take it that way. I think sometimes when I start talking about like risks of using formula, I mean, there are risks. It's just like a fact, like just like anything else.
Mm-hmm. You made an interesting point a little while ago too, is that you said it should be easy because it should be something we just know how to do, just like, dogs or something, nurse their baby, know what to do.
Yeah.
I personally had never seen anyone breastfeed unless maybe like a really long time ago, but until I was actually pregnant. And the person who did our birth class did this potluck dinner where the previous class came and told their birth stories. So I loved it. I was super into it. And this lady, or one of the couples that was there, she just took her boob out and started nursing the baby. And it was the first time me and my husband like ever saw someone just do it. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's how, but if we grew up, I'm thinking in other cultures where they do that and it's so
Yeah.
normal, maybe they don't have the challenges we do, because I only like ever in public or anything saw someone give a baby a bottle, probably,
Yeah. Too. Yeah. Same. So like you and I are the same, pretty much the same age. Like, so, you know, in that generation born in the 80s, it was very low. And I also grew up only seeing bottles. And like, there was this one family friend that like, it was like oh my God, she breastfed. Like, it was like this big deal. And everyone just thought she was like a psycho.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
that's what I like grew up with. So yeah, you're right. No one, you know, grows up seeing, you know, that's why I think it's also important to like normalize it and like do it in public, because then people will see that and see that it's normal and it's okay. And
Mhm.
um the lack of support postpartum too is a big factor. And that's why I think like people take it as shaming, because it's like the system that's failing,
Mhm.
not the mom.
Yes.
Um
Agree.
because you know nothing is set up, you know, with maternity leave and like the birthing thing, that's a whole nother topic, you know, the hospital system, nothing is set up. So like instead of championing championing breastfeeding and talking about the benefits and talking about how important it is and supporting people to breastfeed, instead we switch to absolving people of guilt for not breastfeeding. And that's like what the formula industry like really craves. Like they really thrive on that, like the whole not, you know, non-guilt, and everyone's just doing the best they can, and everyone, you know, that's, although it's a wonderful message, it's, that's what they want people to believe, because that sells their product more.
Yes. Yeah. Agree. Um, when so when we're talking about the benefits of breastfeeding now, do I know the answer to this, but I want to hear what you're going to say. Do
Yeah.
the keep going the longer you go? Because I had someone who was a very close like family member tell me I breastfed till 6 months because after that, like that's when the benefits go to, and after that there's no point. And so she thought it was funny that I kept nursing my kids until they were like older and not,
Yeah, no, that's not true. Like the benefits stay as long as you do it. Um, like when you talk about like nursing toddlers, the nutrients and stuff and the content in the milk becomes more concentrated because they're drinking less, obviously because they're eating food. So no, that's not true at all. As long as you breastfeed, they're going to get the benefits. That's why like a lot of people are like last year and stuff like, oh, I'm going to keep breastfeeding because of COVID, you know, because it offers like immune protection. Whenever you are in contact with, let's say you come in contact with a virus, and you know your body is gonna start producing antibodies to that virus, then your baby, like their saliva on your boob, creates the antibodies and then like gives the antibodies to the baby. So that's really important. Um like I've even heard of people going and nursing their babies if they work, like going into the daycare to nurse their babies, because now you're exposed to the daycare germs and now your body is creating the antibodies and now it's giving them to the baby.
I never even thought of that. Wow.
I mean, that, I forget who told me that. I think it was some lactation consultant um when I first had Paige. But so that's why you hear people like wanting to nurse, like now that this COVID stuff's happening, like I want to keep nursing to like give them protection. um I mean, if you want to talk about, I don't want to get this to get censored, but like breastfeeding is kind of like the first vaccine that your kid's going to get, because it's literally giving them antibodies um, to help their immune system. And then, like, as far as you want your child's gut, which is where your immune system is, to be exposed to bacteria and germs and stuff. Like when you're too sterile, that's how like autoimmunity, you know, theoretically would develop, when you have like, you're killing everything. Like, you know, maybe your baby got antibiotics or you got antibiotics during birth or something. So that kind of also helps to like repopulate. And then like it has a certain pH of breast milk that keeps the gut a certain pH to like let good bacteria in and bad bacteria out. So yeah, there's just a lot. Like as far as benefits to the mom, you know, there's studies saying it can lower breast cancer, but you have to do it for a long time. like years. Like, oh, I mean, years, like you can have two kids, whatever, and you can breastfeed them for a total of like, 8 years or whatever, or 6 or 7 years. Um, like the benefits as far as like, because it lowers your estrogen, and that's how like breast cancer and like ovarian cancer kind of thrive, is when you have too much estrogen in some cases. So the research about like it lowering breast cancer and other cancers for mom is like doing it an extended period of time. So I guess that's also tacks onto that one question.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then I've heard you talk too about benefits to the mom in terms of like postpartum depression and stuff. Do you think that there's benefits of breastfeeding with, mental things like that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of trouble in the beginning, it's actually like breastfeeding struggles in the very beginning, like are a risk factor for postpartum depression, obviously. That's why it's really important to like be prepared. But like it increases your oxytocin, right? Every time you breastfeed, you get like that hit of happy hormones. So yeah, it definitely like is protective against postpartum depression when you are getting the support you need and everything's like going good.
That makes, yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, um, can we talk for a minute? Okay, wait. Actually, I don't want to forget. So I asked on my stories if anyone had any questions, and I didn't give that much notice, but we did get 3 questions. So I'm
Yeah.
going to ask their questions, and these are specific before I get to my last point, which is kind of funny. Oh, actually, I just thought of something. Can I ask the question and then I'll say like my really quick version of what I think, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong with the
Okay.
answer? So the first one says, I have an 8-week-old sleeping 8 hours on own, only feeding once at night. Will it affect supply?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember 8 weeks that much. That's still like what, still seems like a small baby. But I feel like by 8 weeks, I wasn't waking every 2 hours to feed them. Like I was at the very beginning, and I don't know what you have to say about that. So at that point, if they're waking up one point and they're doing okay, as long as they're nursing during the day, I think it'd be fine. Am I right or no?
Well, it would totally depend. Like,
Good.
because every single person has what's called a storage capacity. And some people, meaning like not how big your boobs are, because that has nothing to do with it. It's
Yes.
how much milk can your boobs hold. And some people have to have more empties in order to maintain supply. And some people don't. Like I think, yeah, with Paige, she probably ate once a night, but then, it's not linear either. It goes up and down. But like if you're waking up, so say you feed and then you wake up once and feed and then it's the morning. If you're waking up like engorged or leaking and uncomfortable, that means it's going to kill your supply. So gauge on how like full and uncomfortable you feel, because anytime you feel, besides in the very very beginning when your milk first come in, anytime you feel full and uncomfortable, that's sending the signal to your body to stop making milk. Everyone
Like,
everyone always thinks like, oh my god, my breasts feel empty, like I have no milk. That's actually good. Anytime you're full and uncomfortable, you're telling your body, I don't need this much milk, stop making milk. So I would gauge on how you feel when you wake up. Some moms are going to be fine going that long at 8 weeks. Some moms are not going to be fine. And it also depends on if the baby's gaining weight and having the diapers and stuff. So
that makes so much. Yeah. So it's yeah, you might need more information, but I think that was a good answer. If she's watching, we can send this to her. The next one is someone asked for tips for keeping supply up during period. She said that hers plummeted last month. So I don't know, would this be like a similar situation, like supply and demand? You have to keep, and I'm pretty sure, I know this person, I'm pretty sure she's working and pumping more versus she was a teacher and she was off during the summer and could nurse on demand.
yeah, no, this happened to me too. And what you can do is take a calcium magnesium supplement. You start taking it when you ovulate, so about 2 weeks before your period. Um, for me, it's like super easy to tell when I am. I don't know, some people don't know when they are, but if you have a really regular cycle, you can track it. I forget the actual milligrams, but you can just like go on Amazon and get calcium, search calcium magnesium pill. So you take it the second half of your cycle, and that's actually like um evidence-based to keep your supply up during your period. And again, this would depend on how old the baby is and what else is going on as far as like trying to, increase, because anything you do to increase supply, like you're not going to see results for like a week. So like trying to pump more during your period wouldn't really make sense. Like you could pump a couple of extra times the week before your period just to like maybe have some banked if you're at work. But yeah, try the supplement.
And
That's
while we're talking about it too, how do you feel about like oats or something like that? Is there anything to that you've seen to boost supply too, or no?
well, I mean, people are gonna say like their anecdotes, like, "Oh, this made me," but the only real thing that like increases supply is like removing more milk, and it's like frustrating because that's not what people want to hear because they just want to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this and everything's gonna be great," but
Mm-hmm.
like the only real way to kind of boost your supply is to do more removals, but like you have to figure out what's the cause of your low supply. It's more important than just hopping on and being like, all right, I need to raise my supply. We need to figure out like what's going on first.
Gotcha. I remember the lactation consultant that I became friends with that I talked to a lot about. I asked her, I'm like, what about lactation cookies? She's like, well, if you like cookies, eat them. But like,
Yeah, that's exactly like what we say for La Leche League. Like, yeah, I like cookies. I'll eat them.
I the dog is barking. It's always during a
Yeah.
And then the last question on the question box was, how old is too old to wake up at night and nurse? And I feel like that's another personal question, right? Like,
Yeah. I think as long as you don't care, then that's fine. I think if, some people are like, they want to stop. I mean, personally, I do not recommend night weaning before 12 to 15 months. That would be the absolute like youngest I would do it. But after that, if you want to keep nursing, as long as, whatever he wants to wake up and do it, that's up to you. It's totally like up to the family and the mom and what she can handle. If you have another baby coming, you know, maybe you want to night wean. Like with my son, he's 2. I'm kind of dabbling in cutting stuff down, but I'm not like committed because I don't have another baby coming. So it's just like, yeah, he wants to wake up once a night, I'll feed him, and then he goes back to bed. So there's absolutely no reason you would have to at any age.
right,
A lot of
right.
children will just stop on their own if you don't do anything else.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, and the last kind of thing I wanted to talk to you about is you have gotten some haters and considering in real life. And I'll give another example. My friend, and I was telling you personally about this earlier, has a cleaning account and she gives these cleaning tips and she has kids and talks about like, her 3-year-old makes her own bed and stuff like that. And she gets hate. And you guys are both the nicest people. So these trolls come out, like someone told her, just the meanest things. Like you shouldn't have kids if you're gonna expect them to clean, and like the meanest things. And saying forced me to follow you. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, if I came up as a reel, like it came up, you're not following me, and she's had people even make other accounts to like say the same thing, like, why are you deleting comments? But she's gonna delete the super mean comments because it's her space, right?
Yeah.
Like you've had some of that too. You've had people say that you were shaming them and stuff like that. So where do you think, like, what do you think about this? Like, where do you think these people come from? Do you think deep down maybe they're like hurt if they couldn't breastfeed, or I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
And how do you do
that's
that?
what we were talking about before. Like, it's not that the mom failed, it's like everything around them made it impossible to breastfeed. Whether it's like the traumatic birth, and then we go home and, everyone's like, can I come see the baby? Can I come see the baby? Like, no one's bringing you food, which you brought me food after I had my baby, so you get it. Um, you have to cook, clean, everyone is, you still have all these demands when breastfeeding like should be. I know I say should, but in my view, not everyone thinks it's as important as I do, but in my view, Like if you want to breastfeed long term, like that should be your full-time job, like immediately postpartum.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
oh, oh, the things that are in our culture do not make that possible. You know, women have to go back to work. So then when you come out and say like breast is best or whatever, or like here's some things that are fact based about formula, people, you know, get really bothered because it's like they were not successful because of all those factors, and there's nowhere else to kind of like take it out on people. And I hate making people feel bad, but I also like, if you're following an account or you see like a reel or something that doesn't make you feel good, just keep swiping. And you know, like I will even go and unfollow people that I don't feel good about their content, or like I'll click on the little three dots and say like stop showing me this, you know. As long as like you are confident in your decisions, like it doesn't matter what other people say, I guess. So I think that's where it's coming from, is people just did not receive support, and they're not um confident in what they did. So I
Yeah.
focus on people that have not. I mean, yeah, I'll get, you know, people that are currently breastfeeding, but most of my content is more geared towards like first time moms, because like I was that first time mom getting super overwhelmed with everything, trying to follow all the rules, trying to do everything right. So that's where like my content is geared towards, not people that are already formula feeding that feel good about their choice. Like, great, like you probably shouldn't follow me.
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly. And if honestly, if you're triggered, and I think this about myself too, like if I'm triggered by something, I feel like that's a lesson. Like, huh, why am I triggered right now? And like what can I learn from it? And maybe healing still needs to take
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
Um, for example, like had some sort of trauma and just doesn't even want to attempt to breastfeed, like you would say that's fine to them, right? I mean, I would, I don't know, I'd be like, okay, that's fine, you know, make your decision. But then, yeah, they might not want to follow you, or it doesn't change the fact that you can still talk about the benefits of breastfeeding without, you're not trying to make that mom feel bad because she made her choice. I don't
Yeah.
know. A lot of emotions, I think.
Well, also another part of my account is like being confident in what you do as a mom. Um, so like even if it's, you know, choosing formula, like be confident in what you do because you're making the best, you know, you're making the best decision. So yeah, and maybe that means not following me. Like I'll even tell like people in like on my other account, like my friends, like I have this account, but if you know you might not want to follow it, like I'm you know, like if it's not for you, that's fine. Like no big deal. So
Yeah.
kind of my view on it.
Yeah.
But it
You would,
almost seems like you're not allowed to say like breastfeeding is the best, or here are the benefits of breastfeeding. Even on just something simple as like here's the benefits of breastfeeding, like not my post, but another one I saw, there's people going off. Like how, like why are you posting this? It's like this is just information. I don't, yeah, sometimes you just have to ignore.
yeah, and then one of my friends who I think you ended up sharing it because I sent it to you, made a post saying fed is best, and she's like, I don't agree because you literally have to feed your baby or else you'll go to jail or something like that. And she got a lot of people getting mad about that. But anyway,
Yeah, fed is a minimum, and other, you know, the fed is best. It's like a foundation. It's like a whole thing. Like it's kind of like a corrupt foundation. The fed is best, but I'm not going to get into that. That whole thing is like kind of framing lactation professionals as like we want babies to starve. It's like no, obviously you're going to feed your baby. Um, that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like that's not what I'm going for.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it's a good place to wrap it up. No matter who is watching this or is going to watch the replay, we think you're a great mom, no matter how you feed your baby. But if you want to follow Andrea and get some more breastfeeding information, I've actually gotten a lot of um, interesting information that I didn't really know about the formula and like where that came from, because I'm interested in like just for myself, I've been interested in the food industry and how there's a lot of corruption in the food industry itself, and I didn't realize, but it makes sense that it goes to formula too.
Yeah, I used to really be into that a lot when I was a teacher because we taught a book about the food industry, and I see a lot of parallels. So I
Yeah.
have like an email series, the links in my bio, and it goes through like the history of like where did formula come from, and like the history of like, you know, how doctors kind of, you know, were in cahoots. So I just found it interesting. So, and like I chose to do an email series just because like I didn't want to get tons of, you know, people freaking out, um, which is okay sometimes, like I said, to ignore them. But I really wanted to like dive in deep. So um, that's,
Have, do you also have something else to help moms trying to breastfeed? Is it a latch guide? Is that what it's called?
yeah, it's called Latch Lab. It's like a pretty comprehensive guide. I think it's like 25 pages. Like if you're having pain with breastfeeding and you're just not sure if like, you know, you can work on it yourself before like hiring, because lactation consultants can be quite expensive. So I wanted to make it like accessible.
That's awesome. Yay. And that's just right in the link in your bio, right?
Yep.
Yay. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.